Hey guys, it's me Lawrence, and I'm here to show you how to add color to an image post-production. A lot of artists use gels to create cool color effects, but I wanted to show you how to get the same effect in Photoshop. In this image, we will be adding yellows to the highlights and blues to the shadows. I'm going to go over here and first click on Channel Mixer. And I'm going to go to my output channel and go down to blue. Now I'm going to mess with these toggles for a second to try to get the right type of blue that I want in the shadows of this image by adjusting the blues, especially the reds and a little bit of the greens. Something like that will work. Now I'm going to hit Command I or Control I, and that will invert the layer mask. And then I'm just going to take my brush, and I have a lower opacity right now, and I'm going to start brushing in the shadows, this blue color that I just chose. And I'm trying to be careful because there's a lot of light on my skin, so I want to get just a little bit of the shadows on my skin, but I don't want to get the whole shoulder or chest area. So I'm just carefully painting in all these shadowy areas on my skin and in the background. In fact, we're going to just take this brush and we're going to paint the whole background behind my head. I think it will create a cool contrast with where the light is coming from to have the back of my head in this blue shadow. Now I'm kind of roughly going over a few areas, and we'll patch things up a little bit here in a second, but I want to get the main concept in my head first of where I want this color placed on the image. And I'm going over some spots over and over again just because I have a lower opacity brush, and so I want to make sure that it's the brightness or saturated or has the saturation that I'm looking for. Okay. Just going over some little detail areas now, like some of these creases in the arm and chest area and the shadow where my hand casted the shadow on my chest. Now I'm also going to go and hit my hand just a little bit with this blue. In fact, this might be a little too saturated, but I can go back and fix that in a minute. But I want to act as if this blue light has been coming from the back of my head. And so you have to think of where that blue light is going to hit, mostly in all the shadowy areas, but also, like in this case, parts of my hand. So I'm just kind of lightly trying to put some blue on this hand and a little bit on the wrist to give it more of that contrasting color. Okay, now I'm going to mess with the mask a little bit. Again, if this blue light is coming from the left side, then most of the left side of the mask will be hit with this blue light as if I were using a gel to begin with. So I'm just going to lightly paint in some blue on the mask in mostly the shadow areas, but a little bit in the highlighted areas, again, just because Oh, and I'm going to change the opacity really quick as well. Just so it looks like this blue light is coming from the left side of me. Now I'm going to also, again, follow this same principle. So whatever this blue is going to hit, it's going to hit like a little bit on my face as well. So I'm making sure the shadowy areas on my face are filled in. Also a little bit of my nose and eye area, mostly to create some contrast with this yellow light. And we're going to make sure that the hair looks pretty good. I'm going to change the opacity again and get rid of some of the blue so if you just change your brush back to black, you should be able to erase the blue. And that's what I just did really quick on the hair because I wanted the yellow to hit the hair just right. Okay, I'm just going to fix the hand here and the wrist a little bit. I think I used a little too much blue. So I'm going back with a black brush again, low opacity to bring in some more yellows. All right. Just checking some other areas that I may have missed, going over them a little bit more. Overall, the image looks pretty good so far. So now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another layer. And I'm going to do a channel mixer layer again. But this time we want to mess around with the highlights a little bit more. So I'm messing around on the red channel just to see if I can get kind of more of a yellowy tone or vibrant yellow that comes through. That looks good. Now I also want to do some other effects. So I'm going to go to color balance, and this tool is great to add blues into the shadows. And then if you go to your highlights, you can add yellows to your highlights. So because I painted the blues in the shadows and kept yellow in the highlights, this is just saturating or making the photo even more vibrant to begin with. And then I'm messing a little bit with the midtones. Okay, actually, I'm kind of liking putting a little bit of red or violet into the midtones. It kind of gives a good bridge between the blue and the yellow. And so that's what I'm messing with now. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm looking at the image, making sure there's nothing else I want to add. I think what I want to do though is add a vignette to this image. So what we're going to do is create a stamp layer. And how you do that is do Control-Alt-Shift-E. And then I'm going to go up here and filter and go to Camera Raw Filter. If you go to FX and go to vignetting, I'm just going to mess with these toggles a little bit until I find something that's cool and interesting. That should do. Now I'm going to put a masking layer on this image. And then I'm going to actually erase away the vignette on the right side of the image. Make sure my brush opacity was up to 100%, but I'm going to erase that vignette on the right side because I kind of just wanted it more dark and moody on the shadow area, but not so much on the right side where the light is coming into the image. Now there's one thing that's bothering me, and that's the background. So I'm going to copy this blue layer again. I'm just going to fill it in all with black really quick. And then I'm going to take my paintbrush and turn it back to white. And I actually want to fill in, after I change the flow on my brush really quick, I actually want to fill in the rest of that background. For some reason, that seems to be a little bit more coherent to me, or looks a little bit more natural to have the whole background that really vibrant blue rather than kind of half vibrant blue and then a darker blue. I wasn't really liking it. So I'm just going here, being really careful, not super precise, but being careful not to put blue on my face or my mask or my shoulder. And I'm just filling that background in with blue, with that vibrant blue color. And so it makes me as the subject stand out a little bit more, makes it look like I'm coming off the background as well, and that there's this yellow light that we can't see in the image, but it's casting right on top of me. And there we go. All right, so I'm just zooming in here, checking a few spots really quick to make sure that my hair didn't get that blue on it. So I'm going back and erasing parts of my hair really quick, just to make sure that there's no blue in there. All right, so I think that concludes our video tutorial. I hope that helps you all, and have fun experimenting. Until next time, bye.